dish. It's really the perfect template foil for so many of the things that you might be getting in your farm share. Today we're going to use zucchini, but any kind of summer squash would be great. Later in the season it's delicious with like sweet peppers, potatoes, you can throw corn in, it's wonderful with greens, spinach, chard, mustard greens, turnip tops, anything like that. It's quick, it's delicious, it's good at room temperature as well as warm. It makes a great sandwich filling. So today we're gonna get started with the zucchini version. I'm just gonna cut these in half rounds. I particularly like using lots of herbs. So we're gonna use a bunch of fresh basil and fresh parsley today. And those we just add to the eggs. They're not, I'm not gonna cook those ahead of time. Like we'll saute the zucchini. And we're gonna add the eggs. You can change the ratio of vegetable to egg. If you have lots of greens you want to use up and you just use enough eggs to keep the frittata together, you can just use maybe 4 eggs for a bunch or 2 of greens. Or like this, in this case, we're going to use 6 eggs for, 3, I think, sort of medium-sized zucchini. So you can really vary it and stretch it and adapt it to your taste. You can add hot chili pepper, chili flakes to the egg mixture. And the other thing about frittatas is that I tend to not whisk the eggs until they're frothy. I just really want to break them up. And even the whites and yolks don't have to be fully integrated. I think it makes for a lighter frittata. We're going to add some pepper and some salt. And you want to season this well because it's much harder to season it after the fact. I'm going to salt the zucchini a little bit in the pan to season it because the egg won't be able to season that fully. So I want to cover the pan just to speed it up a little bit, which you can do. So then it steams a little bit as well as sauteing. So now the squash is tender, browning a little bit. So we're going to add the egg. And I want to make sure I don't cook it too hot now, so I'm going to turn it down to medium and cover it to get the egg to set just for a minute or 2. I'm actually now also going to set the oven to broil because we're going to finish the frittata in the oven under the broiler. So as the eggs begin to set, to speed things up, you can kind of lift the vegetables and let some of the uncooked egg kind of slip to the bottom. I can tell it's browning on the bottom quite a bit, so I'm going to turn it down, the temperature down even a little bit more. And I think we'll add a little cheese to this one. It's totally up to you whether you want to add cheese or not. I'm going to put a little sharp cheddar over the top here. Feta is delicious, fresh goat cheese is delicious, anything, and it's perfectly wonderful without. And you can also mix the cheese in with the eggs and put it all together. It doesn't have to be added at the end. At the top. Cover that again. Now we're going to see, as the eggs are pretty close to being set, it's harder to see with the cheese here, but we're going to finish it in the broiler so we don't have to flip it over. So that's what we're going to do now. So make sure that you are using a skillet that has an oven-safe handle because you don't want to put something under the broiler that has a plastic handle that's going to melt. So now it's pretty close to being set, but we're going to just finish that under the broiler. Make sure you set a timer, pay close attention to when it's in the broiler because it goes very quickly and you just want it to get nice and puffy and just barely golden so that the eggs are set, but you don't want to dry it out and get it really crispy on top. All right, I think it's done. We'll check it. It's good to kind of poke in with a fork and make sure you don't have any pockets of liquid. It looks great. So a really important thing now when you take it out of the oven is to let it sit for a few minutes, because it'll be much, much easier to get out of the pan. It will, as the egg sits, it will release from the side of the pan even if you're not using a nonstick or anything like that. So it'll be so much easier to get clean slices out of it. So we're gonna let it sit for a few minutes. So now we have our beautiful frittata, and it's been sitting for a couple of minutes, and see, it lifts out of the pan so easily and beautifully, and that's because we let it sit for a minute. So now we can eat it fresh, warm, you know, with a good slice of bread, with a salad, something like that. So, or, and this is what I love to do with leftovers, is I'm going to make a sandwich with it, and for that I'm going to cut it in a different shape actually. And then just put it on a piece of bread, toasted. You can put some olive oil on the bread if you want, butter even. And then I particularly like it with some arugula. It's a classic Italian combination. So do some fresh peppery arugula and the frittata, and you have a gorgeous sandwich. A very tall, gorgeous sandwich. So now you can see we've made our zucchini frittata with fresh herbs. You can use most any vegetable you can think of that might show up in your farm share. Some of it, like the zucchini, you will cook ahead of time. Some you can just mix in fresh with the eggs, like if you were just using herbs or really tender greens. You don't need to cook them separately. So now you can do that and use it as a sandwich filling or for dinner or however you'd like. For more recipes and tips and ideas of what to do with your fresh produce, visit cookwithwhatyouhave.com.